Horrifying secrets from the Dark Age of Egypt. Are you curious to know the secrets of ancient Egypt? Ever wondered about the Cannibal King? Or how Pharaoh Pepi II's rule crumbled? So without wasting your valuable time, let's dive into this and explore how deep the rabbit hole goes. Did you know there was once a Cannibal King in ancient Egypt? It's true. Let's travel back in time and discover this astonishing secret. King Yunus was the last ruler of the 5th dynasty of Egypt, believed to have reigned between 2375 and 2345 BC. Yunus is considered part of the Golden Age of the Old Kingdom, which is regarded as the peak of ancient Egyptian civilization. While not much is known about Yunus, one intriguing aspect mentioned is the possibility of his involvement in cannibalism. An inscription found in Yunus, he gained power by consuming other gods. The exact meaning of this inscription is subject to interpretation, and it could be metaphorical rather than literal. But it raises an intriguing notion that Yunus may have engaged in cannibalistic practices as a means to absorb the power or essence of his enemies. As we explore this astounding revelation, we find ourselves contemplating the motives and psychological intricacies of this cannibalistic sovereign. What impelled him to commit such abominable acts? Did his belief in acquiring power through the consumption of human flesh hold any semblance of truth? The answers to these inquiries may forever elude us, concealed by the passage of time. Pharaoh Pepi II's reign and the subsequent disintegration of the Egyptian government. During Pepi II's rule, it's estimated to have occurred between 2278 and 2184 BC. Egypt witnessed a flourishing economy driven by a unique form of capitalism. However, this economic boom led to the concentration of wealth in the hands of a select few, granting them immense power and influence. Notably, influential nobles residing in cities like Achaemenid, Abydos, and Elephantine began to construct their own palaces, pyramids, and tombs, effectively establishing independent centers of authority. This decentralization eroded the pharaoh's grip on the country as the nobles amassed wealth and influence, challenging the centralized government based in Memphis. Analogously, it resembled the scenario of contemporary tech company CEOs establishing their own cities and governments, diverting power away from the national capital. Consequently, Pharaoh Pepi II lost control, and the Egyptian government swiftly unraveled, plunging the once mighty civilization into a period of political instability and uncertainty. After the demise of Pharaoh Pepi II, the Egyptian government fell into disarray, marking the onset of a tumultuous era known as the First Intermediate Period. Spanning from 2181 to 2040 BC, this dark age plunged Egypt into chaos, and it remains unmatched in splendor by the preceding Old Kingdom to this day. The once centralized power held by the monarchy in Memphis for around 500 years was dispersed among lower-ranking individuals across the nation. Among the fortunate beneficiaries were the mortuary priest, who had played a significant role in the construction of the pyramids at Giza during the 4th dynasty. These priests, akin to the original bishops at the Vatican, established their own cult-like following due to the substantial resources dedicated to pyramid building. With the pharaoh's authority waning, the death priest wielded unrestrained power and accumulated wealth, while individual governors endeavored to govern their cities independently, resembling autonomous nations. The ensuing century was marred by lawlessness, shattering any semblance of harmony. During the onset of Egypt's original Dark Ages in 2180 BC, a devastating famine swept through the land, exacerbating the prevailing chaos. The Nile's annual floods were vital for irrigating crops, and any disruption in this cycle spelled grave trouble. Unfortunately, at the advent of the Dark Ages, the African monsoons shifted southward, causing the Nile to lose its floodwaters and depriving the crops of much-needed sustenance. The absence of rainfall from the Ethiopian highlands led to years of drought, known as the Great Hunger, although its exact duration remains uncertain. Now let's move on to explore the details of the next secret. During the Middle Kingdom of Egypt, which followed the initial Dark Ages, the pharaohs regained their authority and the country experienced a period of stability. The fertile lands were once again irrigated, and the nation progressed into the future with optimism. However, around 1800 BC, a new challenge arose, stemming from the weak and ineffective rule of successive pharaohs. This sparked a period of turmoil that culminated in the rise of a group known as the Hyksos. These enigmatic individuals took advantage of the pharaoh's vulnerability and seized control in northern Egypt, leaving only a small portion of the country under pharaonic rule in the south. For a long time, the origins and identity of the Hyksos remained a mystery. Their names differed from typical Egyptians, leading to speculations that they hailed from Southwest Asia. Egyptian texts portrayed them as foreign invaders, but some historians view this as Egyptian propaganda. According to research conducted by Chrysantis, an archaeologist from Bournemouth University, the Hyksos were actually immigrants who had been welcomed into Egypt over several centuries. The year 1782 BC marked the onset of Egypt's Second Dark Age, known as the Second Intermediate Period, following the Hyksos uprising. Unlike the previous Dark Age, this period lasted much longer, spanning until 1570 BC. The dynamics were different as well. The Hyksos held power in the north, while the Egyptians retained control at the capital of Thebes in the center. In the south, the Nubians took advantage of the chaos and seized power. The Second Intermediate Period was characterized by deep divisions, cultural fragmentation, and violent anarchy. The erosion of Egyptian culture was evident during this time, with the loss of script writing abilities and hieroglyphics, a decline in literature, and the decay of Egyptian religious practices. It would take 2 centuries to defeat the Hyksos and reunify Egypt. The reunification of Egypt was achieved primarily by the rulers of Thebes, marking the beginning of the New Kingdom. This period brought about a significant shift in Egypt's history, revitalizing the nation and setting the stage for its future prosperity. The Third Intermediate Period marked a significant decline in ancient Egypt's history, lasting for over 500 years and being the darkest of all the Dark Ages. It began after the New Kingdom, which was followed by a brief period known as the Late Period before Rome's dominance. During the Third Intermediate Period, Egypt experienced internal decay and division. The division of power was evident, with Tanis serving as one seat of government and Thebes emerging as a powerful theocracy ruled by the high priest, who claimed to be the representative of the god Ammon. Civil war plagued Egypt during the 22nd dynasty, with various monarchs vying for control in major cities. Egypt was weak and divided, making it vulnerable to attacks. The Nubians in the 23rd dynasty took advantage of the internal strife, and later the Assyrians invaded, further adding to Egypt's turmoil. What sets the Third Intermediate Period apart from the previous Dark Ages is that after its conclusion, ancient Egypt as it had been known ceased to exist. The first major conquest occurred after the final Dark Age, when Egypt found itself in a weakened state. In 525 BC, Pharaoh Amizas II governed Egypt while Cyrus the Great ruled Persia. The conflict between Egypt and Persia arose when Cyrus requested the hand of the Egyptian pharaoh's daughter in marriage, but the pharaoh refused due to concerns about her fate as a concubine. In the spring of 525 BC, Egypt faced defeat at the hands of the Persians in the Battle of Pelusium. That's all for today. We hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more videos just like this.